Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be setting up the timing, and I'm also going to be installing the harness on the inside of the car. Possibly the engine side, but we'll see if I get that far today. Let's go to the trunk. That's what we got to get installed in the car, this side of the harness. So in order to do that, I got to get the seat out first. So let's get cracking. We don't got much time. Let's get in it. Okay, just to recap before I put this back in the car. This side here is for the ECU. We go over to the grommet, which I have spiraling over here, is one for the battery and the second one for the O2 sensor. And that's the one that goes to the bulkhead. So before I put this in, I had to laser engrave this side up because that's the way I have to install it because of the way that I have my smart coils. How 1, 3, and 5 is on the driver's side, 2, 4, 6 is on the passenger side. So this way I know as soon as I install this that I got it in the right way and that I won't be fighting with it on the other side when it's in the engine compartment. So that's pretty much good to go. The seat is now out. Everything is properly done. All the wires are tucked under. And here's my tap that I have from the fuse box if I need. Then they're all right here. I just have to hook up another end to whatever I need it for, and we're good to go. So let's get this part going. See where we go. Okay, well, I've got the harness installed on the inside part of the car. As you can see, the bulkhead harness right there. And the wires were brought through the old spaghetti factory here. Got to run this to the battery. Now let's see what we've done inside the car. And that's where the ECU is. I'll run under the carpet. Up into the grommet. Don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not. And the bulkhead harness is over on that side. So we've cleaned up everything that's under here. Got the seat out. Also put the seat in just to make sure that the seat doesn't come in contact with this, and I've got enough space, so that's all good. Now I'm going to start getting started on the timing. Getting the Cruz Performance cam sync and the crank pulley on there with the pickup. As you can see, I've already mounted the pickup on the water pump. I've brought it to top dead center, which you could see the TDC right there. Now you have to rotate this 60 degrees before top dead center, and by doing that, that red square there, this is the 12-1. Every other spot on this has a pin going through, a magnetic pin that the pickup picks up. So this one being number 1, this is going to have no pin in it, so that has to line up with this sensor over here. So when I put this to 60 degrees before top dead center, that should pretty much line that up with that sensor. So let me rotate this engine and I'll be back. Okay, now that I've got the balancer rotated 60 degrees before top dead center on the compression stroke, so you get it to TDC first, obviously, which is there. over here somewhere, the TDC, and because this is an ATI balancer, everything is marked all the degrees on the wheel. So you have to go 60 degrees before top dead center, which is right here. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Right there. Okay, and 60 degrees at top dead center should put that red dot where the pickup is, and it's not. That's not a deal breaker. It is what it is, but you can fix that in the actual program itself. So let's just get into the program. Give me a second. So if you go under ignition parameters and you go into configuration, you could see this wheel over here. So this is the 12.1 wheel, and each one of these 12 increments is 30 degrees. So the number 2 is what you have to line up. This crank trigger means nothing. It's just where it is in relation to where you're at. I already knew how far it was going to be out, so I put that value in right here, which basically shows the same distance it is away from number 2. Number 2 being the 60. That's where you're putting it on the balancer. And so what it does is it locates that spot and it basically put it in front of that. So I'm doing this on the falling edge, which means it has to just touch the sensor from the front side of it as it's coming up. And that's what I did right there. So now I have to get the cam installed, and that is 240 degrees before top dead center. So now I have to rotate this motor to the 240 degree mark, and I can drop the cam sensor in. Stay tuned. So here is Cruz's cam sensor. Let me pop the lid on this. Give me one sec. Okay, now that the cap is off, as you can see, there's an LED light right in the front. And there is the pickup inside. So where I have this thing lined up right now, you can see the dot on the front of it. So this is at the falling edge. That's where I want to keep this. So what I have to do is get this to aim basically with this LED facing the radiator. That's the way I got to drop it in. So I have to line that slot up with the slot on top of the oil pump gear shaft, and then slide this in and lock it in place. Give me one second, I'll do that. But before I drop in the cam sensor, I have to set the balancer to 240 degrees before top dead center. Let me do that first, and I'll show you guys on the balancer, and then I'll get to the install of the cam sensor. Okay, and there you have it. That is 240 degrees. Looks like it's off, but it isn't. It's the way you have to look at it to the pointer. Anyways, that's 240 degrees before top dead center. So now, as I had mentioned, the cam sensor, when you're looking at the LED light, has to be aimed straight towards the radiator. And being that the sensor inside, the pickup is right here, that falling edge has to be just touching that sensor as it's starting to go clockwise with the rotation of the engine. So just to recap, 60 degrees, no, forget 60 degrees. Put the motor to top dead center. Hear the puff of air come out of cylinder number 1. Rotate the motor 60 degrees before top dead center on the balancer, and that's how you put this pulley on and line it up with the sensor. Adjust it in the program if it doesn't line up, which I already did, And then after you do that, rotate this balancer again counterclockwise to the 240 mark, which is right there. That's 240 degrees before top dead center. And then you take the cam sensor, drop it in, aim it straight, put it on the falling edge, and I'll do that now, and I'll be back. Okay, now with the cam sensor in, as I was telling you, there's the pickup from inside. You'll see the LED light if I had power on. I believe when it's not touching, it's lit up. When it does touch, it's off. Or the opposite way. I can't remember. I don't have power on the car right now. But either way, this is the falling edge. The rising edge would be over this side, just exiting the sensor. So I want to get it before the sensor at the 240 mark. Now I can lock that in and carry on with installing the rest of the harness. But that's how you set up the timing with the 12-1 wheel and the cam sensor. Now to get the rest of the engine side of the harness installed, I have to take off these. Got to take off the fuel rails. Got to take off the adjustable fuel pressure regulator, the dual feed lines up front, and the vacuum lines that go on the back of the intake, so I can get my hands in there and start routing all the wires underneath the intake into the front, where this opening that you see here on both sides is where the wires are going to come out and go to each destination. Let the games begin. Alright, let's get started. Alright, now that the fuel rails are off, and I put the nut on the back of this bulkhead connector. As you remember, that triangle had to be facing upward in order for my smart coils to be able to line up with the proper side, because I have 1, 3, and 5 on the driver's side and 2, 4, 6. So if I had this thing backwards, I'd have to be making my wires go in opposite direction, which I don't want to do. So why didn't I pull this motor out again? Boy, I think I'm just a glutton for punishment. Pretty much removing everything around it, and I'm putting my gribby mitts all over it. You know, I'm gonna have to clean up all this stuff before I even put this thing back together, eh? It is what it is. Let's get the harness on the engine, and let's move on. Well, I almost got finished installing this harness on the engine side until I saw that I haven't put in my transducers for the oil and fuel and my map sensor. So looks like I'm gonna have to take this back off and put a vacuum block back here for my map sensor, and I also have to get something to run down the bottom where the block is for the oil pressure down there before I clip this harness in place. Always something. Always something. But it is what it is. Last thing that we are to do with I have to set the sensor between 0.40 and 0.60. I do 0.50. With the feeler gauge, as you can see, the feeler gauge is right on there. Slight drag on it, and then you lock it in with the adjusting nut right there on the top of the sensor. And that would be done. So now I can put on the pulley, my belt, tighten everything up in the front, and then get back to getting some more fittings for the oil pressure and finding some sort of a vacuum block so I can use my 3.5 bar map sensor at the back of the intake. Okay, well, this is the back of the intake, and I'm gonna have to change up 2 fittings back here. This one is used for a vacuum source that I use for my gauge that I put inside the car. So I have a bulkhead fitting on the firewall that goes inside for that line. The oil line down the bottom there, that I run to the gauge for my oil pressure inside the car. But now I need to run it, have a splitter on there somehow to make 2 uses of it. I need one for the transducer so I could record oil pressure, and the second one obviously for the same piece. So I have this one in the front that I used to use on my leash boost controller, which I no longer need. So I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to put my 3.5 bar map sensor on that one, and I'm going to run this one under the intake to this one. So that takes care of my vacuum. For my oil, this is what I'm going to be using for my oil. So I'm going to put one plug in here. That's all I think I need, because I already got 1, 2. So yeah, one's going to be for the transducer, the next one's going to be for the line inside the car, and the other one I'm going to plug. And that's going to go at the back of the motor down there. Well, let's get into it. And that is what the oil one is going to look like at the back of the motor. Just got to put a plug in this side, and we're done with that one. Then I can hook the oil line up and hook the harness up back to this, and we can move on to the next. Well, there you go. 2 hours later, I think I have something formed. You'll never appreciate the amount of time it takes until you start doing this crap and you find out that nothing ends up lining up. So I got now the oil pressure switch in there that records the oil pressure. I got my line that goes into the fitting over here that's looped, and I got the other line for the vacuum running under the intake coming up the front to this one. I couldn't use this one over here for the map sensor because my check valve got in the way for my PCV. So I found another one over on this side that I used for my fuel pressure regulator, the vacuum to that. So I'm going to have to run another line from my fuel pressure regulator to this one. But damn it, I got my gribby mitts all over everything. This thing looks like hell. Let's keep going before I start going mental on this thing. Because you know I'm ready to break out the mothers and start cleaning up this damn valve cover in my intake and all kinds of stuff. What a mess. Well, let me see if I can get this harness installed, and hopefully that's the last of the roadblocks with installing this bulkhead harness. We'll see. Okay, now I got the bulkhead harness plugged in. I've got all the sensors plugged in on both sides. So far so good. And then I just tacked on another 2 hours because I had to clean everything. Just can't have it looking like that. So out came the mothers. And now my valve covers look like my valve covers again. My intake looks like my intake. This is why it takes me forever to do something. I just get in my own way. But damn, does that look good. Hell yeah. Ricketts racing for the win. And there you have it. Everything is hooked up on the engine. All the sensors, all the connectors, the bulkhead harness is plugged in at the back of the intake. All of my transducers are in, the oil, the fuel, and the 3.5 bar map. It's all in behind the intake. Everything is routed. For the injectors, they loop around on all sides. The other side as well. Same thing. Fuel pressure regulator's hooked up. Harness is in. Now I gotta make exact lengths for my O2 and the direct connections to the battery. I have to fuse it first and then drop it to the battery. And the HP is there on the ground, rooted under the carpet. I have to still hook up the line for my fuel pump, the line to fused key ignition, because I have a couple taps underneath there. But yeah, the gist of it's getting pretty much squared away. I'm gonna end it for today. I spent enough time, wasted time cleaning. That's why I don't do this stuff for a living, man. I won't make money on it. Everything has to look a certain way or I just can't move forward. But look at that. Come on now. Till the next one.